Today's video is going to revolve around the AeroCool Bionic case, and for quite some time we didn't do any reviews based on AeroCool products, so today this will be quite special because we're going to take out the addressable RGB fan at the back and go complete anti-rgb. And this is going to be quite interesting because for quite some time I actually didn't do this kind of build. So first of all, let's start. You have a 3mm thick tempered glass with 4 thumb screws, and the bottom part is kind of covered, so you can't access or do anything here, and you don't have a complete panel. But since we're talking about a budget oriented case that kind of fits basically mostly everything, it's quite short, so you can place long graphic cards, and we're going to do something interesting indeed with it. But what a cool thing this case has: you can place one 120mm fan right here, you can place 2 of those right here, you can place 3 on front, and you can place 2 more on the power supply shroud to get more air into the graphic card. So it's quite interesting for short case to get like 3, 6, 8 fans installed inside. You can place a standard ATX motherboard without a doubt and you won't have any issues. You have 7 openings here at the back for your GPU placement, and quite enough opening inside for cable rerouting on top and on the side, depending on what motherboard you're going, because you can go with micro ATX or mini ATX as well, and the holes are actually quite nicely adjusted so you can manage the cables as you wish. At the bottom on the power supply shroud, when you go further from your installed fans on the power supply shroud, you have 2 additional holes where you could also reroute the cables from the bottom for HD audio or USB 2.0, or depending what are you going to do inside the case. Now the case also has a quite interesting front, because this line right here goes into RGB, of course, and it depends how you can connect it and where you connect it. If AeroCool didn't use those standards, their 6-pin connectors or something like that, but we'll check that when we go at the back and we can discuss that later on. For the front of the case, you have intake at the top and at the bottom, so hopefully 2 fans at the front will do quite nice, hopefully will do a quite nice airflow through the whole case and give us enough air. Since I moved the case, you can see right here we have the parts that you get inside. So you have the screws, additional standoffs and zip ties, and of course here you have the instruction manual. So let's check out the backside. The backside is opened with 2 thumb screws, so it's quite fairly easy. You don't have to use your screwdriver or anything like that. Remove it, and as you can see, it's more of a tall case than it's wider or longer. It all depends how you look at it. Now when it comes to storage capabilities, let's see. You have possibility to place a hard drive right here at the bottom, one, and you can place your SSD or hard drive at the top as well. At the back you don't have any SSD brackets, which is kind of shame, because I think right here you could place at least 2 brackets and reroute the cables around, which would be really cool. You place your power supply right here, and I think it's a bit shorter for the power supply, since the HDD bracket is quite close to the power supply. At the top you have loads of possibilities. So you have 2 USB 3.0, you have 2 3.5mm jacks, one is for your headset and one is for your microphone, 1 USB 2.0, which would be really cool if it was a Type-C, but then we wouldn't be talking about budget case, right? We would go a bit further with price and stuff like that. And finally you have 2 indication lights, reset and power button. This is a special header that you do need to have if you want to get the RGB done. So most likely you can adjust everything through the reset switch right here, which is somehow connected to the front RGB panel and the fan, and you only need to connect your SATA power. But this is really a shame if they didn't use standard 5 volts 3-pin addressable RGB header, or at least an RGB header which would be connected to your motherboard, and then you can adjust everything. But in this case, we're just going to shut it off and go completely anti-RGB. So let's build a mid-range build inside. Check out first the temperatures inside the case. Does it cook or does it not? Place AMD Ryzen 5 5600X and AMD Radeon RX 5700. So let's go. Now, when it comes to AeroCool Bionic, everything is really straightforward. There's no complications, and even the temperatures surprise me. The thing is, it's quite a smaller case, so you do have a tight spot for a graphic card. As you can see, when I place the front fans, you have literally 1 millimeter or maybe even 2 space to place the graphic card, because you have to tilt it first, then place it here on the brackets, and then push it inside. Now, this graphic card is ASRock Radeon RX 5700 Challenger, and it fits perfectly. Now, here, as you can see, also I have the Sight Mugen 5, which kind of fits also just enough to place the tempered glass, because the height of this one is 154.5, and I think the height of the clearance of the cooler, well, the case is 155 exactly. So yeah, you can place 2 120mm fans right here. You could possibly squeeze 3 120 on front, but you do have to be careful with the cables coming from the I/O ports on top, and you can place 1 120 at the back. As stated, you can also place 2 120 on the power supply shroud and give more air to the graphic card. Now, when we're talking about temperatures, the Sight Mugen 5 actually cooled it quite nicely, the AMD Ryzen 5 5600X, and it kept on 67 Celsius degrees stable, which was tested in AIDA 64 Extreme Edition on full load, and I literally didn't have any issues with it. Now, when we're talking about the GPU, I don't know if it's up to this particular GPU or it's because of the case. The temperature went up to 81 Celsius degrees, which, I don't know, on some graphic cards it's okay. Let's put it that way, it's okay. On some it's not. And I know, if you remember the MSI Armor, the RTX 2070, in any case it always has 70 Celsius degrees. Now, I can't place it here because it's too big and it doesn't fit, but this one went up to 80 Celsius degrees, and the front fan is blowing directly inside this graphic card. And I don't know, maybe it's the case because the top fan right here pulls the air from the top and gives fresh air to the processor, and basically picks up all the air from the top and doesn't give the second fan almost anything, but still there is some air coming, most likely from the front, from the bottom, and stuff like that. So taking into consideration that 6740 processor, and when you turn the AIDA 64 on Extreme Edition with both CPU and GPU, the processor goes up to 70, the GPU goes up to, as I said, 81. So small compact case, I would say, but in terms that you can place an ATX motherboard, and it's, you know, quite alright. But as you can see, I managed to pull off some extenders with the original power supply cable, so these aren't going directly to your power supply, and did a anti-RGB build, so no RGB, everything is turned off, and basically there's only RGB on the motherboard. On the bottom heatsink, I turned it off just because I wanted a full anti-RGB build. So let me know what you think of the case, let me know what you think of the anti-RGB build, and of course click the thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future content, and hopefully I will see you very soon. Thanks for watching, bye bye.